Welcome to the podcast. My name is Father Bill W. I am an Episcopal priest. I live here in Austin, Texas, and I've had the gift of recovery since December the 27th of 1972. I'm very grateful for that and to all the people who helped me along the way. The purpose of these podcasts is to kind of go deeper into the 12-step program, into the history behind it, the psychology, and the spirituality that underlie it. So kind of a little niche that we've found, and people seem to be responding to it, that when you're ready to go deeper, maybe some of this material will be helpful to you. The piece that was the most helpful to me was this practice that they called two-way prayer. And I got that from the history. If you will go to our website, if you have not done so already, go to the two-way prayer, TWO, two-way prayer website, and right on the homepage, you'll see a new video that we did. It runs about 45 minutes, but it's kind of in a workshop format. If you're new, or if you want to refresh yourself on the history and the process and how to do it, go ahead and visit that. I think it'll give you hopefully all the information that you need to begin the process that I've found to be a real life changer. We're doing a new series now, started it last week. I've titled it Journey to the Inner World. So I've been doing two-way prayer now for a little over 30 years, and I've found that there can be more to just listening to God. Listening to God is, in two-way prayer, I think, the way we start. But there's also an opportunity to go a little bit deeper, and that would involve inner child work, shadow work, dream work, allowing the unconscious to express itself. Say that another way, allowing God to express himself in ways that kind of go around the ego. And you kind of get to experience a new side of self. And that Jung is very helpful for kind of introducing us to that new world. And so we're going to get into that. And what I'm going to be doing in this series is interviewing people who have taken that journey, who have gone inside and found the inner voice. And then I've also found the inner child and maybe some shadow parts, and have gotten comfortable with that. And our purpose is to help you guys hear this, experience it, and make it a little bit safer for you in taking the plunge. You know, the big book says the great reality is within, and that's why we have to take this inner journey to go and experience it. The Oxford group people had a lovely phrase that some of them used. They called it the beyond that is within. And so this is kind of allowing that beyond to speak to us, to become present. And so I'll be asking each guest to share some of their two-way prayer writings, first in terms of listening to God, and then in the second episode, going a little deeper and looking at some of the inner child work, okay? When I invited my first two guests, I was reminded of something that I wasn't aware of initially. And it turned out that I've invited two women from England. One is still living in England. The other is here in the States, but both English by background. And what I was reminded of was a discovery I made a number of years ago after I'd been into the practice. Many of you may be familiar with the little black book, the 24-hour-a-day book. I kind of got sober on that book, and the meditations in that book were actually the two-way prayer writings of two women in England who were listening to God. And that had a profound effect on me. So it was because I could kind of look at their writings, and those are in a book called God Calling. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. And if you'll study it, you'll see that Richmond Walker took the two-way prayer writings of these women and adapted them a little bit and put them into the meditation book. Well, it dawned on me pretty early, why am I reading somebody else's meditations? You know what I mean? I mean, why aren't I doing this practice myself? If anything, maybe this series will help you save a whole bunch of money from going out and buying other people's meditation books, because what God's inviting us to do, I believe, is to write our own meditations, that he has something to say to us, and it's individual. And that we become the people God intends for us to be in our fullness. And that means overcoming fears, and it often means going back to childhood wounds that we experienced, and with God's help and with the inner child's help, overcoming those. So my first guest is Susanne T., and Susanne has become a friend over the years. She's a very serious student of two-way prayer. I noticed that when she and I were first introduced, and she's been teaching two-way prayer to a good number of people in the UK. And I noticed 11% of our listeners on these podcasts are from the UK. Susanne is out there doing her work and gaining quite a few followers. So Susanne, welcome. Great to have you with us. And maybe you could share with us how you came to expose to two-way prayer. How did this come into your life, and how'd you respond to that?
Okay. Hello, Father Bill. Yeah, I was in a recovery for quite a few years, over 10 years, and I was doing another process of looking at the steps, and I was sponsoring someone in New York, and they told me about Father Bill's workshops. So I went on one of those, and then I contacted Father Bill, and then I started doing it. I attended a group that he was in, and it changed my life, and look back, really.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, you took to it like a duck to water, as they say. It just came very natural to you, and you've not stopped growing as a result of this. Perhaps you might begin by just sharing one of your writings so people get a feel for what this two-way prayer sounds like, and maybe tell us why you chose it, or and then read it for us.
Okay, I was feeling very grateful. I have a lot of gratitude for the teachers and the gifts I've been given, and I just wrote this one, just full of gratitude and peace. My darling God, my everything, my rock, I'm so grateful for you and our relationship. I feel so honored and blessed. You have put some amazing teachers in my life. I'm in awe of you and overwhelmed. My darling daughter, I did put them in your life so that you could learn and pass it on to my children and pass on your light. You are the holder of an Olympic torch, so keep it burning and pass it on. I'm so proud of you. Don't stray from the path. Follow my will and watch for distractions and roadblocks. Keep boundaries. This is crucial. I will give you energy and strength needed to be a vessel and light for the needy. Keep up the good work, Dad.
That's beautiful. I find your writings are very simple, to the point, always affirming. And that's one of the things I think people need to kind of watch for as you're doing this. This is a loving relationship. There's a thing called three-way prayer, and that is when you hear somebody else's prayer, it has an effect on yourself. So these are my things. They're not yours, but they're what I took away from hearing your writing. And I just wrote down 5. But that God has a plan for my life, has a plan, and I need this relationship to find and follow that plan. My importance in that plan, that I'm the only one who can do this. Now, not that I'm the only one in the world, but it's like my life, and either my life is connected to this and implementing this, or it's not. And if it's not, then I'm not becoming who I could be. And, as we said in that first episode, that's really everything, that God wants us to become the person we are intended to be, the fullness, the relationship. I jotted down relationship. Your two-way prayer was a little bit unusual in the sense that I always encourage people to start with a term of endearment coming from God to us, my child, my daughter, my beloved. That's really helpful. But you've gone to the next level, and in addressing God, you returned the favor. My darling God, and that was beautiful. That was really, really helpful for me to hear. Focused on keep the boundaries. That's an issue for many of us, and I know that's something that you've worked on very hard. And then the 5th thing I wrote down was that the power, the strength will be provided. That I don't have to look to me to find this. That it really comes from a deeper part of me, a different part of me. And it's that separation of the ego from what Jung would call the self, what Christians might call the Christ within, Buddhists might call it the Buddha mind. It goes by different names, but it's fascinating that the voice always sounds the same, no matter which path you're taking. So it's beautiful. Thank you. That was lovely. Many of us, on our way to recovery, go through some really painful times, and I'm going to ask if it was that way for you, and maybe what some of those key experiences are. It's like we gather our wounds out there in the world, and then we get into recovery, and we have to start healing them. Could you share some of that with us, Susanne?
Okay. When I was younger, when I hit puberty, I got involved with everyone that was messing around, and I just wanted to act out and became like a rebel. And I became bullied at school and dared to do things, and I wanted the attention, but at the same time I was very shy. And I did find alcohol just before I was 14, and I got taken advantage of sexually the first time that I had a drink. So that was early experiences. I hated being in my own skin. I was just frightened of everyone and everything.
Absolutely. Alcohol helped. It seems like we find something, a friend of some sort. Could be drugs, alcohol, sex, food. We turn to something that heal or soothes, that might be a better word, soothes some of those wounded feelings for us. And it works for a while until it doesn't. So did it stop working for you?
Well, it started taking away the fear. I could speak to the boys. I could join in with people easier, and I had confidence. And then thought I was the life and soul of the party, and then the party ended, and it got some awful consequences. But none of that stopped me, really.
Did you hit a bottom of some sort that sent you then in search of help?
Well, I did have a violent husband
Mm.
And I had 2 children by him, and I kept going back to him, so they adopted both of my children. So that was a rock bottom, and then I tried to commit suicide 7 times in 2 months, and really didn't want to live, didn't want to die, but
Yeah.
I just had a God-shaped hole, really, and that was all that would ever fill me up, and I didn't know that at the time. Um, it was a very painful time, but I went into 5 different rehabs, lots of treatment centres, um, and none of that worked. I was in and out of the meetings for 10 years.
Wow. Okay. It's almost like there's two selves going on inside of us, isn't it?
Yeah,
The false self that's in control, and then the true self that's trying to wake us up. But I don't know what it takes to wake up. I mean, it takes different things for different people. But hopefully, I know in your case it happened. So, how did that happen for you? What maybe helped you turn the corner there?
I was in recovery for 10 months, and I just had this experience, I believe, from God. Uh, I just broke down into tears, and I think I hit my step one. It was an emotional rock bottom, and that
Mm,
was the worst rock bottom. I'd had many bottoms, but that was the worst one. And I got suicidal again. I ended up, luckily, in some big book thumping meetings by accident. And yeah, that got me on the road and taught me what I suffered from. And that was the amazing time of my life that I got to that place. And I do believe that was from God.
your relationship with the program changed.
Yeah.
But I mean, what I'm hearing you say is for like 10 years, I'm bouncing in and out. Uh, I'm going to meetings maybe on occasion, but I haven't crossed the threshold. I haven't really entered into it. And then this time, something was different. Something got your attention. You woke up.
Mm.
I had an interesting experience. I used to, before I got it, I bounced around for about 2 years. Um, I used to read the big book and fall asleep. It was amazing. I'd read the book and gone. And I didn't understand that for many, many years till I started, learning a little psychology, that it's one way to check out, pretend this isn't happening, go away. And I would go away. And then when my change came, like yours, it was different. It was, oh, what the hell are these people
Mhm.
saying in here? I got to grab a hold of this, and I don't understand it. Help me understand it. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Um, so, so you got involved with a group called Big Book Awakening. Now that was
Yes.
your Big Book thumpers.
No.
The Big Book. Now I want to put in a word for Big Book thumpers. Sometimes I'm a little hard on those guys, but I do want to say this. In the beginning, I don't think there's anything more helpful
Mhm.
than that. And I kind of use the example of it's like going to boot camp. you know and if you got some people who can kind of get your
Mhm.
attention, grab a hold of you and say, no, we're going to do it like this, follow these directions, it's really helpful. I can't imagine a sergeant going into um, the new recruits and saying, well, we're offering a 5-mile hike today if anyone would like to join us. It's like, come on, guys, let's go. And so that's helpful. I think it's, Richard Rohr says it's that kind of hard ass thing. It's a great way to begin, but it's a terrible way to end. Does that ring with you?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah, that you needed it in the beginning.
Yes. And I became teachable and accountable and
Right.
willing to go to any lengths for my recovery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tell me about Big Book Awakening, because that came along a little later and you got very active in that. I'll put a link to that in the show notes as well.
Okay.
What did you find there that maybe had been missing for you?
I got to 10 years in recovery and I was in a stagnant place. I needed a new experience.
Mm,
And my friend was doing a workshop and I joined because I was seeking for something. Um, and it's a line by line, page by page, in depth way of looking at the big book and bringing it alive.
hmm
And it's got a really intense step one. We do 8 weeks on step one. And it just was more about God. And I felt like I could speak about God freely because I've been going to meetings that they don't like you speaking about your faith. And
Yeah.
it was everything directed back to God and where's God in all this. And um, so it suited me because I became a Christian when I was 4 years sober. And that's when I found my missing piece of the jigsaw, really.
hmm Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. And you stayed with that for quite a while. You were very active in that, as I recall. Uh, but then two-way prayer came along and it added something else. Can you
Yes.
talk to us about that?
Well, I did do the Big Book Awakening and run workshops around that. But I just felt when I found the two-way prayer, I don't need to keep revisiting the steps. And I live
Mm,
in 10 and 11 and 12 more, and I've got the most peace I've ever felt in my life and most confidence. BBA helped me with that during lockdown. Um, I was running meetings and things like that online and running workshops, and the two-way prayer, when I found that, it was amazing. It just made me less um, human reliant, less sponsor reliant, like God was my sponsor. Um, and it just gives me any answers I need without having to go to a human. And it's just been an amazing process. I can't really put into words. It's just changed my life and recovery forever.
I think it's important to mention that two-way prayer is simply a tool. It's not an alternative to AA or NA or CA or Big Book Awakening or Primary Purpose. It's any all of those. I mean, I think that's where we need to stay. But this is a deeper understanding of what step 11 is about. Uh, this conscious contact stuff, and for me, that was the missing piece, the intimacy that's possible. Um, and intimacy comes hard for many alcoholics and addicts. And yet I think it's really the thing we're searching for, you know? And that is really where the inner child comes in, because emotionally, my experience is there are parts of us that are stuck, that have not grown up, that have not changed. And this inner journey is a way to reach those parts. But it starts with the God relationship. And I think that's important because it makes it safe. It makes it safe to go and do the deeper work, the inner child work, the shadow work, that sort of stuff. And I would be hesitant to go there if I hadn't first had the experience of a loving voice within me who was guiding me and protecting me and leading me to the other. So sometimes I'll go, in my two-way prayer, and I want to talk to God, and God, I immediately say, "No, you don't need to talk to me. Go talk to the kid."
Mm.
Go talk to, I get redirected because that's where the pain is. And I think what this process does is it mirrors that. It's like what I find with God is absolute love, absolute love. And then what I have to mirror to the inner child is that same thing. But God can't do that for the kid. Only I can do that for the kid. So we'll get deeper into that in the next episode. But share maybe if you could another writing, and maybe one where you were very much in need of some guidance in your life, and you found it.
Okay. Well, there's a few individuals that have been like, don't take no easily and strong-willed. They're not actually in the fellowship. I really need to keep my boundaries and watch people pleasing, and
Some
to say
people
no
really,
when needed.
some people really trigger us, don't they?
Yes, yes. So I just write about it.
Yeah, you had a few of those in your life. Yeah, the world
Yeah.
is full of them. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead. So it was boundaries. Don't get caught up in their stuff. That's what you were feeling
Yeah.
and needed some help with.
Yes.
Perfect. What'd you get? What'd you ask for, and what'd you get?
Hi, Dad. Please help me with balance and people pleasing. Please help me to say no when needed. My dear child, people will test you as I gave people free will. Don't budge on boundaries. Stand firm like a tree and offer an olive branch when needed. Be the calm in the storm. Be steadfast and share your fruit of love, tolerance, and compassion. Take people where they are at. Keep inviting spirit in and fill cup daily. Cannot run on empty. Need to be fed. Start day right. Watch and spot throughout the day. Ask and turn to me throughout the day. Pause, pray, and proceed. You are my mouthpiece, so keep the fire burning. Look after your garden and water it daily. Mow the lawn and cut back the weeds that no longer serve you. I love you, my angel. Keep being a lighthouse to guide the lost ships into the harbour and bring them home and lead them to me, Dad.
Well, I wrote down more than 4 or 5 on this one. So again, and this is so important, if you're in a prayer partnership with somebody, you're not there to tell them what God just said to that other person. You are only there to tell them what her writing said to you. Very important.
Yeah.
that we keep our boundaries, our spiritual boundaries, in being a prayer partner. So I just jotted down the things as they came. Help me, my need for help. That's the ego showing up and humbling itself for me, that in my relationship with the inner voice, it knows and I don't. So I'm coming to it for guidance, for wisdom. People will test me. This is not to escape from the world for me. It's I mean, I got lots of people who are a pain in the out there that I rub up against. How am I going to deal with them? They will test me. Stand firm like a tree. I can. I'm big on running away. I'm not very flexible. It's fight or flight. That's my usual modus operandi. But to bend is new territory. So, and that's be the calm in the storm. Take people where they are. One of the things that's been very helpful to me is, and particularly as I've done inner child work, is to see the inner child in them. Just like sometimes I wind up being 5 or 6 years old and I'm stuck in that emotional immaturity.
Mm.
Well, if I can look at them, I don't have to tell them this, but it's their kid. They're being very childish. Notice it. I need to notice it without getting triggered and engaged with it. And this is the boundary thing that I heard you talking about. Very hard for us to establish real boundaries. One of the things that was helpful to me, I'll share this, was, you look at your two-way prayer, and you can always check it by the absolutes. Is it honest? Is it pure? Is it unselfish? Is it loving? If it's not, you can throw it away. It can't be from God. But one of the things that they tried to do was, it's got to be balanced too, like honest. Well, I want to tell these people you're a pain in the ass to me. Now get out of my life. There's a part of me that honestly wants to do that. And there's a part of me that's loving. So there's the honesty and the love. How do I balance those in my relationship with them? That really becomes the key. That one of the absolutes of the guiding principles is not going to eliminate the other. Does that make sense? You know what I'm talking about there? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why we need guidance.
Mm.
That's why we need guidance. Someone said, one of the Oxford group people says, if it's a choice between right and wrong, you don't need guidance. You need a conscience. But if it's a choice between two things that are right, that's when you need guidance. Who can help me maneuver in this world? Don't run. I needed that one. Spot check came up. I don't know if you called it that exactly, but oftentimes I will hear big book language in my prayer, but it's in a different vocabulary. Stop and check yourself. Pause when agitated. Pray when agitated. You are my mouthpiece. Again, it makes a difference how I conduct myself on a daily basis. Let go, and then to be a guide for others. That there's a flow. You said earlier that it's really work in the last 3 steps. 10, that I watch myself real closely. 11, by watching, I know what to pray for. And then I get my guidance there in 11. But in 12, I go and act. I take it out into the world. If I'm not taking it out into the world, I'm just doing navel gazing, and it's not where it's at. It's got to be outwardly directed ultimately. Okay. You've come to trust the voice, haven't you, over time?
Yes, very much. I've always been able to hear God very clearly, so it was quite a easy process for me to get used to.
Mm-hmm. And did it make more sense of the instructions in the big book where it says, like, we will intuitively know, our thought life will be placed on a higher plane? Did you get some of that richness maybe to the big book language and that was true for me. I was missing that part.
Yeah, it was just, it made me watch my conduct more, and it made me get in touch with that best part of me, really, the God consciousness, this bit inside me that was blocked off for years. And I just embraced it, really, and it's just took my connection to another level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm not sure why or how this got lost, but the two-way prayer never quite made it into the big book, and yet it's hinted at all over the place. And the pioneers in the program were certainly practicing it. We've got lots of um, uh, literature that says that this was they had the morning quiet time, but meetings replaced the quiet time, and the focus on going meetings, and call your sponsor. It led us away from this inner journey that I think it made all the difference to me, and I think it did for you as well.
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't discount the others. It doesn't say you don't go to meetings. It doesn't say you can't have a sponsor. But well, let's talk about that sponsor thing, because I think what you said is more often than not, you don't need to go and check this stuff out too closely. I mean, your problems, let me put it that way. The problems that you come up with, rather than taking them to your sponsor, what are you doing with them?
Well, I go straight to God, and I don't think I ever phone when I have one now. It's always afterwards, because God's given me the direction I needed and I've obeyed.
Yeah, obeying is important. Now, do you get? I encourage people, the samples that you gave us. They are what I would call a deep dive.
Mm.
In other words, you're going inside, you're connecting with the higher power, you're bypassing the ego, you're allowing the voice to come through you. You never know what's going to be said, and in effect, what I think we're doing psychologically is allowing the unconscious to express itself. And I think where God resides most deeply is in the unconscious level. And so to get those two in sync is really what we're attempting to do here. So that's the deep dive. But I also kind of look at the day ahead. Big Book says we do this. We look at the day ahead, ask that it be removed, all this stuff. I don't do all that fancy stuff. I just ask for guidance. Is there any guidance? I look at my day ahead and see if any thoughts come to my mind. And I try to keep this to 5 or 6. It's not a to-do list. It's more a guidance list.
Mm.
So do you experience that in your writing, Susanne?
Oh, yeah, I get that every day, actually.
Every
Always
day, yeah.
get that. Yeah, so God just tells me what I need to do today, or just prompts, God prods, I call them. Just
God
little,
prods. I like that.
yeah,
God prods.
yeah,
Yeah.
just little things to do with that I'm in tune to hear, and I always follow them out, actually.
Do you keep score? I keep score. I put a little box next to them.
I do check the writing before and see if I've done that. Yes.
Yeah. That's very
Yeah.
helpful, because
Yeah.
sometimes I haven't done them, and what the Oxford group people said was, well, why would you expect guidance if you're not doing the stuff you've already been guided to do? So
Exactly.
it can dry up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obedience is real
Mhm.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it doesn't really matter. Is it from God? Is it from myself? Does it? I don't. I used to worry about that a lot. I don't anymore at all. It's like,
No, I
okay,
don't.
wrote it down, passes the test of the absolutes. Go do it. Go do it. Oftentimes it's stuff I don't want to do, like write a letter that I don't want to write, or clean up my office that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
And those are things that, if I do them obediently, they take on a different character. Does that make sense? Is that your
Yes, it
experience?
does. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe share one more with us, okay? And why you chose it.
This one is mainly since I've been doing the inner child stuff.
Okay.
This is about going out to play.
Yeah. So
Hello,
by
Daddy.
nature, that kind of got sidelined.
Yeah.
Having fun, recovery so serious. Okay, I'm with you. I'm with you. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, Daddy. Me again. I'm going out to play today, climbing. Please guide me throughout the day and help me be kind, patient, and tolerant. Hello, my angel. I'm so proud of you, stepping out of your comfort zone and connecting with your inner warrior. Embrace it and grow. I love watching you play. Don't get caught up with people's drama. Leave them with their stuff and concentrate on your own side of the street. Don't let anyone dull your light or steal your peace. People who aren't in recovery don't have our solutions, but you do. Stay in your lane. You hate drama, so don't invite it in. Dad.
I'm writing. Okay. Nice, nice, nice. Tell you what I got there. That the voice is really proud of us, proud of me. Let me own this for myself. Proud of me when I move into areas that I had said this is uncomfortable. Sometimes my guidance is like I'm a thinker, I'm a reader. God is not going to come to me probably through a book. He's probably going to come to me when I am developing a part of myself that I left behind. I'm not very connected to the body. Sometimes I get guidance, go work in the yard, dig in the dirt. And when I dig in the dirt, I feel connected to the ground, and it's a coming together for me that that I miss. And that's where this voice, and when I'm doing those things, when you're going climbing, it's you're taking a risk. Wow, wonderful, good for you. And I love the dad thing. It's like when a dad takes his little girl out and teaches her how to ride a bike. God's got to let go. Can't hang on forever. But boy, do you feel proud and excited when she takes off down the road and she's doing it on her own. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Inner warrior. Yeah, and this gets into some of the archetypes, some of the shadow parts that we've got, and we'll get into some of these maybe hopefully a little bit more deeply as we go along. But there's an inner warrior in you, in me, that I can tap into, and it doesn't mean going and fighting people. That's the negative side of the warrior. But it does give me the energy to go become myself, and to do the things that ordinarily I might run away from doing. Yeah, inner warrior, that's a great part. Go do your own and don't compare. Stop comparing. That was an important piece for me to hear. Don't compare. I'm not responsible for your life. I'm not responsible for Joe's life. I'm responsible for my life. And I'm not here to compare mine with his. I'm just here to develop mine as fully as I possibly can. I wrote down earth people. That was an expression we had in early recovery that I always loved. It was like with the alcoholics and addicts, we get together and we talk about those earth people out there who just didn't get it. And we have to deal with them. But it's almost like we're maybe intuitively know that we're immature, we're inner kids. They're not even in touch with that. They're just trying to be or think that they are grown-ups and miss that whole part. That addiction opens us up to. Those are some of the key ones that I took. But yeah, what did it mean for you? What would that guidance help you to do?
Well, I just love going out and obeying when I've become more of a yes person, really. When
Mm.
exciting things come up, going out my comfort zone, and the two-way prayers help me do that. And I'm really living the dream and out there having fun and playing all the time. Um, so I've become less just in my small town,
Yeah.
and going out and just living life the way it's meant to be lived, and just embracing every challenge.
Yeah, there you go. It's there in front of you, but it's got to be exciting. I love that you said yes. Did a podcast on William James, Varieties of Religious Experience. And there's a quote in there, I can't give it exactly, but he was talking about alcohol and drunkenness, and that there's a part of us that the alcohol is saying yes to. And when I get sober, it's like, no, I can't do this. No, I can't do that. I gotta. And I'm saying, no, no, no. You gotta find the yeses. And it doesn't mean drinking. It doesn't mean drugging, but it does mean exactly what you're doing. I'm going out there and having fun. I'm going out there, and life this day can be exciting. This day, it's all I'm given. Now, can I find the energy in that? And it isn't usually from the ego. It's from these deeper parts of ourself that got stuck and lost along the way. And so this practice of two-way prayer, it's not about becoming holy, holy, holy. And, it's about becoming whole, W-H-O-L-E, becoming the person we were meant to be, the beautiful person that you are, that I am, and that the sickness within us would deny. And that's the battle. That's the journey. And I just don't know that you can get there without going inside. So, Susanne, thank you. Hope you're willing to come back next week and share some of your inner child writings and experience with us and with the listeners, and we'll go a little bit deeper into the journey. All right?
Yes, of course. Thank you. It was a privilege.
Okay. I want to thank Susanne for opening herself up as honestly and lovingly as she did. And thank you guys for listening. If you would like to drop a message to Susanne, please send it to me, and I will be happy to forward it immediately to her. You can write two-way prayer, TWO, two-way prayer @gmail.com, and we'll make sure that she gets it. So thank you again, Susanne, for opening yourself up like you did. It was great. And thank you guys for listening. I hope this was helpful. Like I say, we're gonna do more of these, kind of intersperse them. I'm gonna keep doing some deeper dives into the psychology, the history. We'll keep doing some of that. But every so often, I just want to throw in a couple of people who are doing the work. And I want you to hear what the work sounds like. And I want you to start doing that work yourself. So time to buckle under and get this thing done, because God's got work for you out there. So thanks so much for listening. Everyone take good care. God bless, and keep coming back.